So here we have the video fibre scope. It is a gastroscope, and our control functions this end of the control body. Here we have the controls for your distal tip. Important, we have a waterproof cap here, which I'll go through it in a second. We have a air and water button here. By covering the air, the blue button gives us air. By pressing and holding gives us air and water. For suction, we press the red button. This is actually a freeze frame function, which I'll go through separately in a few moments. Here we have the biopsy channel, so you take your biopsies, put your cleaning brush through and your cytology brush through there. On here is the light guide assembly. The long probe here, which fits into the video processor, gives you your light. The small probe underneath gives you your air and water. This port here looks like a Christmas tree, is for your suction pump, and this port here is for your water bottle. This is where your leak tester would fit, and this again is a waterproof cap so you don't damage the electronics underneath. It is important to check that you have no leaks before you prepare your patient. In order to do that, we attach the leak tester, which is very important that this doesn't get lost. We attach this to this post here and inflate it to around about 180 milligrams of mercury on the dial. So we'll let that sit for a few seconds, make sure that the dial doesn't drop, the pointer doesn't drop. If it does drop and it drops in a hurry, it means you've probably got a leak. In that case, then I wouldn't be happy for you to give this to the vet. So all you're going to do is flood the scope with pathology, which makes that very expensive to repair. What we need to do is to make sure that we don't have a leak at the distal tip end, is to manipulate the distal tip right through all of the angles, and again that pointer shouldn't drop. If that doesn't drop, then we're ready to go, good to go to assemble it to the video processor. So it is important to check that we don't have a leak coming from the distal tip end. That would normally occur if the scope has been bitten, usually because the vets or somebody's used the scope without using a mouth gag. It is important to use a gag whilst using the scope. So what we're going to do, as it's inflated, we're going to take the tip right through all of the angles, ensuring that the pressure doesn't drop, and that's fine. So I'll be happy for you now to release the pressure from the scope, which is important so we don't put too much strain on the internal workings of the scope. We then have to remove the waterproof cap and present it to the video processor. Attach the air and water bottle. Remember to use distilled water or deionized water, which stops the inside of the scope scaling up. So we turn the power on and the pump. What we're going to check for now is to make sure that you have air and water coming through the end of the distal tip, which is important. So by covering the blue button with my finger, I can actually hear the air coming through, and we can check it by putting it in immersing it in water. Make sure you get a good stream of bubbles. By pressing and holding the blue button, you should get a good stream of water, which we have there, which means you can actually clean the lens of the scope. All right. What we need to do now is to press the standby button and turn on the screen. and there we have the image of my hand. It is important with a video scope to tell the computer chip what colour white is. In order to do that, push the tip of the scope against something white, non-reflective, and press the white balance button, and you will see here it comes up balanced. Once the computer knows what colour white is, it will work out the rest of the colour spectrum itself, so it gives you true tissue colour whilst you're inpatient.